Shall we begin? Let's begin now.
Hi guys, welcome back to the wonderful world of Faith with a Few. As always, thank you so much for all of your support and stuff. It really does mean a lot to me, so please keep it coming, guys. Just give me a little nudge on the back to let me know that it's all good and it's all going well. So as promised from my Life Before Jesus video, today I'm going to do a video on confidence, and this video is going to be a little bit, I guess, I'm going to be quite open with you guys, which it's not like new for me, but it's a bit weird when I'm just doing it in front of a camera as opposed to ministering to someone who needs to hear this word for them in their season. But I'm just really praying that this word will really touch somebody and just kind of give somebody the confidence to reach out and to talk out to anybody if they need help, and just kind of give them, I guess, a different perspective on life and just let them know that they're loved. So like I said, this video is going to be on confidence. And this is for everybody, because I think in life we all find ourselves feeling like we're shortcoming in one area of our life. If it's not our appearance, if it's not our intellect, if it's not the way we look, if it's not what we do or our capabilities, there's just always something in life that we generally always think we could do better in. And the more and more and more we think we can do better in it, sometimes we can find ourselves getting so plagued by it, we lose confidence in that area. And that's what I'm here to talk to you about. Before I start, my confidence story is going to be more about kind of more appearance, because that's something I've always struggled with growing up, and particularly as a young child, is confidence based on appearance. But for other people, all of the lessons I'm going to tell you are definitely applicable to those of you who don't feel like you're up to it by way of intellect or capability or knowledge or whatever. There's all these other ways that it can be applied, so don't switch off just because this is going to be about like physical confidence. I alluded to quite earlier, like a lot of my confidence issues growing up as a child, and when I say growing up, I mean probably from the age of about 13 till basically before I got saved, 19. In those 6 years, a lot of my confidence issues came from my appearance. So most notably my skin and my weight in particular, and how that kind of had an effect on my physical outside appearance. And so I really struggled with it. And growing up in a society where we idolize a particular kind of beauty, in my mind, I had to already struggle to filter through all of that to try and find some way to even think I was beautiful. But then when you're surrounded by so many different people who look very different from you, or people who constantly tell you specific things about yourself, I started to absorb those things. And I just kind of felt like I was fighting a losing battle. So already the magazine's idea of beauty, I don't reach that. But then everyday regular people's idea of beauty, I don't reach that. Then does that mean I'm not beautiful? So I struggled a lot between the ages of 13 to 19 in particular. I'll give you a few examples and a few stories about that. So yeah, growing up in particular, my skin. So you probably can't tell now because obviously, you know, her face is whipped to the gods, and obviously the sun's out, so obviously the blusher and the bronzer just giving them a little Hollywood glow. But you probably can't tell, but and I thank God that you can't. I don't look like my struggle. But growing up, I had really bad acne. Now I don't know why, because I look a lot like my mum, and my mum is relatively fair skin compared to like my dad, or like caramel skin, whatever you want to call it. And so I had her complexion, so my skin was quite used to be quite nice and smooth and just like a little bit fair or whatever. But then when I got acne, and I got really bad acne, so for all of the people that went to Bacon's, you would know it, especially like people like Irati, Dami and Ola, you would know, and Tayo, obviously my sister, how bad like my acne was. And my skin just started to just like bulge with like acne, and I was so sad about it. And yeah, my skin got really, really bad, and I didn't really notice my skin was bad until I got to school. And you know, when you're in school, people might make a comment here or there, nothing really vicious or mean, but I started to feel really self-conscious about it, especially when being in school, and there was very few black people there. So already like with the white girls and stuff, I didn't have to compare myself to white girls, because I'm not a white kind of beautiful. It's a very different kind of beautiful for black and Caucasian girls. So that wasn't even my competition. But seeing the other black girls and how they had lovely skin, and I was like, oh, or the other girls, you know, back in the day they would wear makeup like eyeliner or maybe a bit of blusher, and I'd be like, oh, look at their skin, and my skin was just hair doing like whack-a-mole, just like bumps everywhere. So I've got really self-conscious about it. So whenever I'd go out, I'd always kind of be like, oh, my skin, my skin, my skin. And literally I wouldn't even look in mirrors if I didn't have to, because I just hated the fact that I had acne. It then manifests later when I went to my dermatologist that I also have acne, which is what made my skin worse. So eczema and acne are not a cute combination, because my skin would be like oily from acne but then dry from eczema, and it was just such really weird skin. And I guess growing up back then, especially when you come from like a particular socio-economic background, you don't have the luxury of eating kind of healthy food. So five a day don't mean nothing. Salad don't mean nothing unless it's cheap. And so especially in school, the cheapest things was always like chips. So especially between the ages of like, even like as far back as even 11, I would say, to 19, I was just eating chips, pasta. Because at school it was the cheapest, at home it was the cheapest and the quickest thing to fry or just to put on the boil. So my diet wasn't even, like my diet wasn't helping. So my skin was just like really greasy, and then it started to get like dark and patchy and lots of hyperpigmentation, and my skin was horrible, and I got really self-conscious about it. And as a result of that, I grew like I lost confidence, if you like, because in my mind the face is the first thing you see. And so if people see the face and they don't like it, it's almost like, oh. So I just really struggled being confident in how I looked in my facial appearance. I'm just purely based on my skin. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm 25 in a couple of weeks, and even now, if I get like a really bad breakout on my skin, like a little bit of me is a bit like, oh. So like all of my friends, especially like the Cambridge crew, you know my kind of skin journey. If my skin starts to just like go crazy, I get really subconscious about it, and that's something I've shaken. But it's just like every once in a while it rears its ugly head, and a lot of my confidence was found in my face, because I thought, well, actually, especially when you're growing up between the ages of like 11 to 19, if guys see my face and they don't think I'm pretty, then they're not going to like me. And especially when like I had other friends who are, you know, a bit more faster in the kind of guy area, so for them they were all pretty girls, they would wear makeup and stuff, and they would always look cute, and all the guys would like them, whereas I was here with all my pimples, that I was just like, oh, like I just felt ugly, especially compared to those other girls. And because my skin was bad, I didn't want to wear makeup. Like even now when my skin is bad, I don't wear makeup. To be honest, guys, let me just put you into a little secret. I only wear makeup, really and truly, YouTube, Sundays for church, turn up for Jesus, and on like weddings and birthdays and stuff like that. I don't really wear makeup just because my skin is just like got so much things going on with it. I don't like wearing like a full face of makeup. But also it's just like when I wear makeup and I've got spots, I feel like if anything, the makeup accentuates it. So it's one thing if you're not wearing makeup, people gonna be like, oh well, you know, it's just what her skin's like. But imagine when you're wearing makeup, people gonna be like, oh right, boy, is that what her skin looks like, even when she's wearing makeup? So I just, you know, so that's just my own thing. But deliver me, Jesus, deliver me. So yeah, I struggled a lot with confidence, especially based on my skin. And I would see other girls, whether or not their skin was nice or not as nice or whatever, and they would just be doing their thing, but something in me wouldn't let me. And thank God I found Christ, because my confidence is found in Him. But that's just a little teaser as to like, you know, how my confidence was so embedded in my appearance by virtue of my skin. Next up, and this is probably the biggest, most influential area that kind of, you know, stole my confidence, because the Bible says that the devil comes to steal, kill and destroy, and the devil stole, killed and destroyed my confidence in this area, and that was my weight. Like I alluded to in one of my other videos, being a quadruplet is just that people constantly compare you. Oh, if she does this, why doesn't the other one do that? If they do this, why don't they do that? And constantly being compared. And growing up, aunties, uncles, parents, siblings, everybody made it their business, their daytime job to comment about my weight. Like, oh, taller this, taller that, taller this, weight that, fat this, skinny that. And it got to a point that when you hear something so much, as strong as you try to be, you start to internalize it, because if it comes from different sources, different people, you start to think, well, actually, if everybody's saying it, they're probably right. And so me and my sister, we're quads. Do you know that, guys? When people say us in twos, they can even call us twins at best. But one thing they cannot do is say we are clones. We are not the same person. But people would constantly say, how comes Tayo's skinny and Tolu's fat? And it was just constantly the comparison. And we weren't born the same. We are not the same people. I would never be as slim as my sister. It's just not how I'm built, you know? But people will constantly make it their business to pass comments. Tolu wears size this, Tayo wears size that, Tolu fat this, Tolu fat. And constantly it just got to a point, especially between the ages of like 15 to 19 or whatever. But in particular, 15 to 17, those are the crucial years, that my weight was just everybody's business. And these times, yeah, like looking back, I wasn't even like fat. It wasn't like I was obese. Like you would never find me on a show for fat people. Like I wasn't that, but just because my sister was skinny. My sister was like skinny like this, and I was probably like this. No, like, whoa, easy. No, my sister was like this, and I was probably like this. But as long as you're this, and someone is this, you would always be fat compared to them. And people would always call me fat compared to my sister. And you know something about Africans, shout out to all my Africans, but I'm coming for you. Something about Africans is they don't know how to say things sometimes. They'll just say things like flip of a hat. And they'll say something that you will carry with you for weeks, for months, even for years. So they'll be calling you fat, and just, you're fat, or you're putting on, or you're adding. What does that mean, you're adding? Am I a multiple equation? You're adding. And they'll just mind their business. They'll just drop it and go, like drop it and go. Not knowing that you're the one that still has to deal with that kind of comment 5, 6, 7 weeks later because you're still thinking about that auntie that called you fat, or that uncle that called you fat, or someone that said that you need to lose weight. And honestly, growing up, that was probably one of the biggest attacks of the devil on me. It was my weight, constantly being attacked in that area and constantly losing confidence. So it was bad enough that I felt bad about my skin, but then about my weight. And I'm a size 8, so I always had big feet. So my whole body, I just kind of felt my whole physical appearance was just off. And the devil attacked me in so many ways as a result of it. I struggled with low self-esteem. Like, the thing about me is that I can give off being quite confident, and it was always a coping mechanism. It was always something that I did to cope with other people's reactions. So like, if you could see my Life Before Jesus video, the reason I was so mouthy is because I never wanted anybody to embarrass me or to shame me or to make me feel down. So the quickest and most effective way for me to not feel down was to make other people feel down, or to always be on my guard should they ever try and make me feel down. And so even with my weight and stuff, I kind of almost had to grow a false confidence so that if ever anybody said anything about my weight, I could come back with them quick. But deep down I was hurting. Deep down I would cry, I would not eat, I would starve myself, all in the hope that I could lose weight and then people would stop saying these mean things to me. So I developed a kind of false confidence. But I love food too much, so I couldn't even starve that long. But I would develop this false confidence, this false bravery. So people would see me say things, and physically I'm not hurt, but on the inside I'm dying. And I struggled. And the culmination of said struggle was in 2006. So 2006, our mom took us all to Nigeria, and we were a little bit annoyed at the time because we were supposed to have an end of school like prom or whatever, so we didn't get to go. We went to Nigeria, and we went to another town or whatever to meet some people, and there was 2 people there, but they're still there now, innit? But there were 2 people who, by virtue of the role or the position they have in my life, they had a very influential position in my life. Whether or not you live up to that, that's your own business, but that is the role in which you've been allocated in my life. You've never seen me since I was born. This is the first time I'm seeing you both in my adult life in 16 years of living, breathing on this earth. And the first thing one of them said to me is, how come Tolu's fat and the rest of them aren't? Really though? Really? And you're Usher Raymond? Easy now. And I was 16 and I was excited to see this person who I've never seen for all of my life. And I thought, this will be good, this will be nice. And that's the first thing you say, how come Tolu's fat and the rest of them aren't? To a 16-year-old girl. These times you don't even know who's been feeding me. You don't even know what I've been eating. These times, you don't even know if I've got a medical condition, if I've got fibroids, or if I've got some kind of cancerous lump, God forbid. You don't even know if something is wrong with me because you haven't been there for 16 years. And the first thing you say to me is, why am I the fat one? The devil came in like a flood and he won. And that just got me. The second person who also plays another role in or has a position in my life, they turned around and said, Tolu's the fat one, Tolu's the big one. Look at them. Why aren't you skinny like Ty? Why aren't you skinny like the rest of them? You should be drinking lemon. It will cut the fats, the lipids. I didn't even know what lipids meant until then. It will cut the fat. I remember being in someone's house and this person saying, Tolu should have the lemon, them lemon Schweppes because it will cut her fat. And those are part and parcel of my memory of Nigeria 2006. That's the only time I've been to Nigeria. And those are the strongest memories I have of those 2 people who had very significant positions to play in my life. And as a 16-year-old child, that ripped me to shreds. So it's bad enough in the UK, you've got magazines, just in the Western world in general, you've got magazines and TV shows showing your beauty. You're surrounded by people in your schooling who you consider more beautiful than you. You're at home with a sister who you consider more beautiful than you. You then get on a plane to go to Nigeria, or your first time on a plane, I get on a plane to go all the way to Nigeria, and just to have these 2 people call me fat. And so by then I was hearing the word fat from every direction, not just one direction, no pun intended, every direction, and it killed me. I was a 16-year-old girl. Parents out there, parents or people who have significant positions over other children, be careful the words that you use to your children, because all of the people who end up depressed, cutting their wrists on drugs and stuff, it's usually because of words and how they feel about themselves. You can't abuse yourself unless you don't feel good about yourself. So guys, be careful the words you speak to people. Instead of calling someone fat, why don't you just ask them what they're eating? What is it you've been eating these days? I don't even know. Find a nice way to say it, but don't use such strong words. Fat, ugly, all of those kind of words, they give people complexes. They give people low self-esteem. They let them struggle with confidence. And unfortunately, the thing about words is that you can't take them back. I always say, let your words be sweet, because one day you may have to eat them. So if you speak ugly words, one day you may have to eat them. And God forbid you're eating those words at your child's funeral because you spent too much time calling them fat so they committed suicide. God forbid that is not our portion. But that story is not a new story. It happens all the time. Kids who are bullied constantly by family members, people who are bullied by people at school, people who are bullied in their life, and they commit suicide because the devil gets in so much, rips them down so much on the inside that they don't even think they're worth the air that they breathe, and they take their life. I'm not going to lie, I found myself being very depressed between the ages of 16 and 18 purely based on my appearance. And a lot of that was triggered from that trip to Nigeria. Siblings and stuff calling you fat, that's fine, because when you're all arguing, you can just say, oh, you're fat, oh, but you're this, oh, but you're that. But when I heard it from those people in particular, something in my brain just went, wow. And I don't know, I internalized it. And every single thing from since I was about 13 just came crashing, and it culminated. And I said to myself that day, nobody was ever going to call me fat again.